have, speaking first, we've got Simon Spearman, our principal. We've got me, I'm Eleanor, and I'm the Aspire Programme Lead and the EPQ Coordinator here at the college. We've got a student's perspective from Evie Park, one of our current students. Unfortunately, we don't have Joanna, but Tristan will be filling in for Joanna and reading her slides. Then we have college alumna, Esme Powell. And then we are very lucky to be joined by a guest speaker, Paul Drinkwater from the University of Southampton. And then we're going to round off with Tristan talking a little bit about the curriculum here at the Henley College. There is a chance, hopefully you can all see that there's a Q&A function. That will be in use throughout the event. So please do pop your questions as we go, and they'll either be answered straight away or we'll come back round to them at the end and answer them as a group. So Simon, please welcome us.
Great, thank you very much, Ellie. Welcome everyone to our Aspire evening. It's great to welcome you all, and we've got, as Ellie says, lots of speakers who are going to talk about the types of specialist tutorial and enrichment and support that we offer for our Aspire students. So my thanks to Ellie for organising this, and she'll, as I say, Ellie will talk about the tutorial and the enrichment and the general support. Tristan's going to talk to us about the Oxbridge programme and how we support our students through that. It's great. I'd like to thank Evie and Esme for joining us this evening. It's really kind of them to make time for us. Equally, very grateful to Paul for joining us as well. Paul's from Southampton University. He's going to talk about how to make a competitive application, which is really great. So I'm really pleased to welcome you all to this great evening. Really looking forward to it. So I'll hand back to you, Ellie. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. So some of you might have heard about Aspire here at the Henley College. You might have come to one of our open evenings or our open mornings and heard me speak about this before. But I'm hoping today that we can go into a bit more detail about exactly what the programme looks like and what it is that we offer as part of this wraparound care that we offer here at the Henley College that might help you make your decision in applying either next year or the year after. I know we've got some year 10 students with us, some year 11 students. We've also got some current students with us who will be interested in hearing from Paul, I'm sure. But I'm just going to talk you through a little bit about what Aspire is first and what it is that we offer here and who it's for. So primarily, this is a programme for students who achieve or are likely to achieve mostly grade 7s, but that doesn't necessarily exclude those students who don't. We're also keen to hear from students who have the aspiration to succeed at the highest level at A level and want to go to competitive institutions like Russell Group universities, like Oxbridge, and also competitive careers as well. And as part of this, we offer tailored enrichment activities, challenges and events as well. So currently we have things like a debating society, a law society, which are run by students and supported by teachers. So you really get that chance to show your independence and your growth in your skills. And we also have regular events that happen. So most recently we had a visit from our local MP, Freddie Van Merlo, and I know Evie can, when she has a chat with you, she can speak on her experience of that event. We also, as part of this programme, encourage students to take up the extended project qualification, which is what I'm going to talk to you about later, or if you're eligible, and there is some quite specific criteria for taking a 4th A level, you can either take a 4th A level or do the extended project. And alongside that, we offer tailored personal and professional development. So everyone at the college, regardless if they're Aspire or not, will take part in the PPD programme alongside their main programme of study. But as part of Aspire, we offer specific groups here and specific PPD tutors that are aligned with Aspire who can help you focus on these things like your applications to these competitive universities, degree apprenticeships, and other prestigious opportunities that are available to you. And they also help encourage your academics, so helping you with academic stretch, leadership skills and independence as well. And then alongside this as well, we also have specialist higher education and careers talks and events throughout the year. So we have visits from people like Paul, who come and talk to our students about making competitive applications. We also have dedicated careers advisors, which I'll touch on a bit later. And then we have this specialist Russell Group and Oxbridge support from Dr. Joanna Atkinson. And she's been doing this for a long time, 15 years, and is a former Oxbridge student herself. So she really does know what she's talking about. We also have a student ambassador scheme that students are encouraged to get involved with in their first year, which can then help applying for student union and student leadership in their second year of study. So students really do get a breadth of experience here at the Henley College. If you're thinking, okay, well, that sounds very good, but why should I get involved as a student? If you've got 3 A levels to focus on, why is it that you should be getting involved with this at the same time alongside your studies? So you want to be challenging yourself beyond just your A levels. As Paul will talk about in a lot more detail later, universities, particularly the competitive ones, are looking for more than just your academics. So this is about challenging yourself beyond your A levels. It's also to help you gain opportunities to explore your subjects and interests in more depth that you might not have a chance to do ordinarily. We also help you develop skills that are highly valued, both by universities and employers. So things like critical thinking, communication skills. We have got a communication workshop coming up with a business professional in the next few weeks. Resilience, this is a really important one. Confidence, leadership, collaboration, to name just a few. And we also want a space for you to connect with like-minded peers. So other students who are interested in the same subjects as you that you might not necessarily meet on your courses, or similarly meeting students on other courses that you might not have connected with before. And also, I think most importantly, is to inspire your fellow students. We pride ourselves on providing this support so that then you can go on and inspire the rest of the college to have high expectations. In terms of the extended project, this is something that if you've already applied, you've probably heard a bit about, and it is something that is kind of you're encouraged to enroll onto this extra qualification if you are an Aspire student, essentially. So you get the chance to gain this extra qualification in your first year of study, which is quite unique, really. It's similar to the old ASs. It's considered very highly by universities, and it helps you build your portfolio of skills. And this is particularly for higher education, but also more widely for employability. So within the extended project, we, depending on which project you choose, you will develop things like academic research skills, project management, academic writing, working with complex data and sifting through complex data to know what is the most useful thing for you to use. You might want to do a performance or produce something. We have lots of students who choose to take on a performance project or an artifact project where they make something and they learn these new kind of production skills, or learning a new art technique. It really is, it's led by you and you can really make it what you want. But one of the most important things that we do is we develop presentation and public speaking skills. This is a marked part of the course, and this is something that more and more universities are telling us they want from students, is good public speaking and presentation skills. So this is something that you will gain from doing the EPQ as well. It will also help to grow your subject specific knowledge and skills. So this is what helped you stand out from the crowd, essentially. And if you say you want to go and study law, but you didn't want to study at A level, you could do a dissertation project on an aspect of law. I have quite a few students that are doing this. I have a student currently who is looking at juries and whether they should be used in trials. And obviously, if you've been watching the news, we know that that's kind of put a spanner in the works of her dissertation, because juries have been changed, or the role of jury has been changed. So you are responding in real time to academic research and things that are happening around the world. So this is going to reflect quite a high level of dedication to your topic and your chosen subject, and make you stand out. Also, you're going to essentially, we're going to teach you the skills that you need, but the project is led by you. It is up to you to identify, to design, to plan and complete your unique project independently. Like I said, the teachers, the supervisors, as we call them, will guide you through the skills that you need to learn. So learning things like academic research skills, project management, the public speaking, the academic writing. But beyond that, you become the expert in your subject, so that when you get to writing your personal statements, you will have something to show off in there. So there are 4 project types that you can get involved with for the extended project, which covers a breadth of different sort of subject areas and types of study. So we've got the dissertation. So that's, a lot of people have heard of that term. So a dissertation is an extended piece of academic writing. It tends to be around, the main discussion part tends to be around 4,000 to 6,000 words on your chosen topic. You pick a question that can be debated. And you'll also undertake a literature review, which is something that you'll do at university, certainly if you're going to study an essay subject like social sciences, humanities. But if writing's not your thing, you can opt to make something. You can produce an artifact, and that can include a piece of clothing, it can be a piece of art, it can be designing a website, creative writing, making music. The possibilities really are endless. With a few caveats, providing you can do it in the time that you've got, you really can do whatever you want. Then we've got a performance project, whereby you plan, direct and host a performance event, either live theatre, again, music or dance. Or finally, if none of those things are for you, we also offer an investigation project. This is kind of a scientific or mathematical investigation, essentially, whereby you work to prove or disprove a hypothesis that you have devised, essentially. So it really is a great thing to consider, especially if you are going to be one of our Aspire students here. And Evie is one of our current EPQ students, so I'm sure when we get around to her, she will sing my praises as her supervisor. But if we're thinking about how you're assessed, then you start in the September of your first year and you finish by Easter of your first year. So you're essentially doing this project over your first year, with time left at the end for you to revise for your end of year exams, your mock exams, your first year mocks. And this means that when you come to apply for universities in sort of October onwards in your second year, you already have a qualification behind you. So this is something really valuable. And a lot of universities, particularly those more competitive institutions, they recognise the extended project and recognise that when you do it, when you complete it in your first year and you already have that grade, that they will make an alternative offer alongside your standard offer with slightly reduced criteria. Now, there are a few stipulations alongside that, and it depends on the university that you're applying for. But most often, if you kind of already meet the criteria, so say the University of Southampton, we're going to offer you to study English, and they wanted an AAA as your standard offer. Your predictions are currently AAA, so you meet those stipulations, but you, in your back pocket, you have an A grade in EPQ ready to go. So Southampton say, okay, we recognise that you've taken the time to do this extra qualification on the subject that you're really interested in. You gained an A or an A star. We will lower your standard offer to ABB. Now, obviously, I'm not quoting Southampton and their entry requirements here. I'm just using that as an example. But you can see if you put the time into this extra qualification, it can really take the pressure off in your second year when you are doing and completing your exams. So that's the extended project in a nutshell. But if you've got any questions specifically about the extended project, do pop them in the Q&A box, and I will come back round to them at the end if I can. But one thing I want to leave you on EPQ is that there was some interesting research that was carried out by the University of Cambridge a few years ago that showed that there was a higher probability of achieving a first-class degree, those doing EPQ compared to non-EPQ students. Now, obviously, there again, it's not a given. There are some other things that play into that, but I think that's quite an interesting statistic, that you essentially you are going to do better, or it's predicted that you will do better at university if you undertake this extra qualification while you're at college. And we're really privileged to be able to offer that here. Not all schools and colleges offer that. And I'm really lucky that in my team I've got some real experts supervising these projects. So definitely something to consider if you haven't already applied for it, then something to consider for your application. Another thing that I mentioned in one of my first slides was about our careers service. So we're really lucky here that we have a dedicated Aspire linked careers advisor in Lisa, and she can provide these sort of one-to-one careers guidance sessions, and she can provide a wealth of information on careers, higher education, degree apprenticeship, specific routes into these competitive careers like law, medicine, some of the STEM careers like engineering. We're really lucky. What she doesn't know isn't worth knowing. So she also works with students on Unifrog. Some students that are with us now, obviously our current students will be familiar with Unifrog, but I know some schools now are also making use of Unifrog, so you might be aware of some of that. And this is a place where you can make a note of all your supercurricular activities. So it's a really, really useful tool that we rely upon here. She also sends out a monthly careers and higher education newsletter, which is jam-packed with all sorts of opportunities, workshops, lectures, employment opportunities, advice, reminders about upcoming deadlines and things like that. And that goes out, I think it goes out to both parents and students. And we also have access to Careers Hub here. So in your one-to-one meeting, Lisa might make use of Careers Hub with you, which again has a wealth of information on there about all types of careers. And then finally, we have our yearly university and higher education fairs, and also our careers fair, where we have lots of different companies come in and talk to our students about careers with them. Lisa asked me to mention that with these one-to-one meetings, parents are welcome to join them if the students want them to, but the meetings are only available in the daytime. So something to bear in mind if parents want to contact Lisa. She's always happy to be contacted. So I've got a few, before I introduce Evie, we've got a few sort of facts, I suppose, about the college that you might not know. So one of which that we're really proud of is that 92.2% of our students that go on to Russell Group institutions receive a first or an second class degree, which is higher than the state average. So we're really proud of that we can offer that kind of academic experience for our students that then allows them not only to go onto these competitive institutions, but then kind of facilitates their success while they're there. And also, a third of our students go on to or progress onto these selective or competitive opportunities. So that covers things like Oxford and Cambridge, Russell Group, Sutton Trust, or Sutton 30, I think it's called, and other kind of highly selective places. And to name just a few, we've sent students all over the country, but these are a few of the kind of recent highlights for us. So we've sent students to both Oxford and Cambridge, Exeter, Bristol, UCL, LSE, King's, Manchester, Sheffield, York and Southampton. So we really do cover a lot of the Russell Group institutions as well for a lot of different subjects. So I am pleased to introduce Evie, who is one of our current Aspire students. I'm hoping she can hear me.
Yeah, I can.
Wonderful. So Evie, you are currently studying with us at the Henley College, and you're studying English Literature, Business, Media Studies, and you're also undertaking the EPQ at the moment. So how are you finding the college so far? Because you're just nearly coming to the end of your first term with us. So how have you found it so far?
Well, it was quite a big change from my secondary school, so it took quite a bit of time to get used to, but as I've settled in, I've really enjoyed it. Probably mostly because of the independence. You get so much more independence, and it makes you feel like the stuff that you're doing, the work that you're doing in lessons, is actually done by you, and it sort of gives you like a bigger sense of achievement when you're working, when you achieve like good grades, or if you work really hard for a test and it goes well, it just gives you more like a sense of achievement because you've worked for that independently.
Good. Which school did you used to go to, Evie?
I went to Lord Swanswell.
Okay. So I don't know whether we've got any
I don't think so.
people. So how have you got involved with Aspire since you joined the programme back in September?
Quite a few actually. I was at the talk with the MP.
You were?
That was really interesting. Because it was quite interesting to just see how politicians talk. It wasn't very intense because he was talking to quite a few children, but lots of people asking him some quite hard to answer questions.
You got a grilling. You really got a grilling.
Yeah, so that was really interesting, and I got to ask him some questions that related to my EPQ, and I got to ask him questions about things that I want to do in the future, and just general questions about where he stands, where his party stands. He was a Lib Dem, so where the party stands with all the upcoming politics and all of that. And then I've also done a few webinars which Lisa sent, who is the careers advice for the Aspire. So I've done the Brown Jacobson one. That was during the half term, and that was like 9 to 4. That was really, really long, but that was really interesting. Because I want to go into law. Specifically, I want to go into environmental law, which is a bit of a niche area, but the Brown Jacobson, it wasn't specifically environmental law, but it was really good. It told you all the different pathways, so like the difference between a barrister and a solicitor, which I didn't know before, and all of the in-house versus the private. It just told you so much information that I wouldn't have known if I didn't go on it, and it really helped for me, just sort of narrowing down. If I now know if I want to be a solicitor or a barrister, like I know I need to make that choice as well.
Yeah.
And then I've been on a few other webinars, and then I also last Tuesday, I think, I went to go see Lisa, the careers lady. So it was just an hour. I just booked it on the QR code that's plastered all around college, and it's just for an hour, and she just talked through all the different pathways. We looked at some of the courses, and she's helped me narrow down like a short list of unis that I'm going to go see with my parents on some of the open days. So I know what courses I like and what I don't like, and that really helped just be able to just see what I want to do, because I mean there's so many universities, there's so many courses, and it can be quite overwhelming with all of that. But it was quite nice because it just sort of narrowed down and focused on what I wanted to do, and I've got like two options. It's like a law conversion degree or a degree, like a law degree straight out. So that was really interesting. So that really helped.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because you're only in your first term here at the college, and you're a first year, you're not a second year, so you're already you're getting these opportunities really, really early in your time at college. So that's really, really valuable, and like you say, you might not have had those opportunities otherwise, so that's really, really positive. And then finally, just in a few words, how are you finding the EPQ currently?
I really like it. Once you get past the research and all the paywalls with the research, it's really, really interesting, because you've got the freedom of your choice for what you actually want to do. You can do something that you're actually interested in, so you never really get bored of it. And it was really cool just still developing just writing skills that you're going to need for uni. And like learning what a literature review is and what a dissertation is, and just learning all of these stuff. I feel like I've got a head start already for 3 years' time.
Yeah, way ahead. Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Evie. I'm hoping everyone found that really useful, to kind of get an insight into how the programme looks and what sort of stuff we offer here. So thank you, Evie. That was really helpful. So Tristan, I think, is now going to take over from me, and talk a little bit about Oxbridge, if he doesn't mind.
Thank you very much, Ellie. It will be my pleasure. Let me just take control of the presentation there. And let me just make sure that this is working. There we go. So our Oxbridge coordinator is a wonderful person by the name of Joanna Atkinson. I am not Joanna Atkinson. My name is Tristan. I'm one of the vice principals, but I'm just going to go through her material here for you. And Jo is an absolutely fantastic source of support. She does know everything there is to know about the world of Oxbridge applications. But she runs a very comprehensive programme of support that runs through from year one into and through year two, and looks at how to support you in framing that application, choices of particular colleges within those universities. Really expert guidance on drafting a personal statement and how to make the most impact with that. She supervises putting together the references to support those applications, and helps support students with any tests that they need to do, written work samples that they might need to submit, and with interview preparation, helping to coach students who get an interview opportunity at Oxbridge. So that gives you just a bit of the flavour of Jo's work. And just to give you a sense of how the year pans out, She starts working with Year 1 students quite early on in the autumn, making an initial contact, establishing who is interested in potentially following this route and who wants to find out more. And she does a series of meetings from November of Year 1 through to the end of November in Year 2. There are a series of 6 separate meetings that cover different aspects of Oxbridge and preparing an application through to interview preparation alongside individual support of people in that program. And then she also prepares every 6 weeks, she prepares a newsletter which advertises opportunities for you to engage in open days and events at those universities, but just as, if not more importantly, opportunities for things that you can engage in beyond your subject, supercurricular things that relate to what you're studying but go beyond the narrow boundaries of the specification. So she points students towards masterclasses that they can join at particular institutions, whether online or in person, essay writing competitions, all sorts of things, different ways in which you can practice extending yourself and developing your understanding beyond the boundaries of the A-level specification. So Jo is an absolutely fantastic source of support, and she provides this very comprehensive, structured route through Year 1 and Year 2. But what I know she would also very much want me to say to you tonight is that it's very important to think carefully at this point when you're applying to sixth forms, to think about you know, when you're thinking about what you're going to do next, if you're at that point, it's important to think carefully about subject choices and what are the optimal combinations of courses for the particular degree routes that you might want to follow. What things are going to position you best? Now, we as a college have a very broad choice of subjects on offer, of courses on offer. So there is a remarkable choice at our institution, which we're very proud of. But to help guide you through, what we would suggest, if you're looking at making a particular competitive university applications, we would very much recommend using a website called Informed Choices. So informedchoices.ac, forgive me, .uk is a website. It's linked to the Russell Group in particular, but this website allows you to put in things that you might be interested in doing at university, and it helps recommend what might be optimal combinations of courses at A-level, at level 3, to support those applications. So it's an incredibly useful website, and we really would recommend looking closely at it and what it suggests. So just to give you that name again, it's informedchoices.ac.uk. And that's all I'm going to say there for the moment. Back to you, Ellie.
Perfect. Thanks, Tristan. Yeah, we also I've got my email at the end of this presentation. So Joanna's put together based on I think it's based on a booklet that Cambridge University put out about subject choices and possible combinations for some of the more competitive courses. So do keep an eye out for my email at the end if you want to be sent that alongside our mini prospectus for Aspire. So I'm very pleased to welcome Esme, who I'm hoping she's going to be able to put her camera on and show us her lovely formal outfit, because Esme is off to a formal this evening at Oxford. So she's in full get-up, ready for her formal. But Esme studied with us from 2023 to this year. She finished in July of this year. So you achieved an A star, an A and an A. A star was in English?
You should know this. You
I
told
know,
me.
I was a teacher, I'm sorry. Yes, the
Yeah.
A-star was in English.
Which I'm doing
And
for my
then
degree.
she is currently reading it combined English, so English language and literature. And you got an A in both politics and psychology A levels. So I guess the main thing that probably people want to know is, firstly, how are you finding Oxford? This is, again, you're in your first term at Oxford. So how are you enjoying it so far?
It's actually been really fun. I have like obviously there's like I mean it's a lot of work, guys. I'm not gonna lie. First couple of weeks, very intense, but you get into the rhythm of it quite quickly, and then it also ebbs and it flows for workload. So maybe one week you'll have a lot to do, but then the next week you won't have nearly as much. Um, Social life is great.
I
Everything's
was going to say, you were all dressed up ready for I was going to say, this is such a hard life, going to these formal.
Yeah, guys, going to my free formal with free wine, it's so difficult.
My free dinner.
But no, yeah, I'm loving it here, especially at my I'm at Somerville College, not to plug or anything, but I'm at quite a chill college, so it's really college choice really matters. I would also say as much as like if you are going to apply to Oxbridge, like talk to Joanna and make sure you do like your college like looking for a college quite well because it really does affect the experience. But yeah, I'm loving it. Life's great.
Good, I'm glad. And I think that's something really unique that Joanna brings, is her insight on the collegiate system, because I think that's such a unique thing to Oxford and Cambridge, and you really do need somebody who's an expert on that to be able to advise you. Okay, that I think, unless anyone's got any burning questions for Esme, because she'll probably have to dash fairly soon. So if anyone has any specific questions for Esme about her journey to Oxford, please do pop them in the Q&A, and I will see if I can pick them up. Lots of people are asking about supercurricular. I think in just a moment you will find out. Paul is going to talk to you about that. So
also, if you want to give any, I have a college email. If anyone would like it, just email Ellie and she'll give it to you. That's completely fine with me.
That's
if you have
very
questions.
kind of you. That's very kind of you. So there you go. If you want contact with Esme, if you want to find out anything more from her, I have her email and she is happy for me to share it. So I can do that. Thank you, Esme. That was really, really helpful. So what you've probably been waiting for is to hear from Paul Drinkwater, who is joining us from the University of Southampton. And this is going to be a little taster of applying, of being a competitive applicant to a Russell Group institution. And for those of you that are already here at the college, we're hoping that Paul will join us again in the new year for a longer session on this. So this is just a taster for you. So Paul, please.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you for the college for giving me the chance to come and speak to you tonight. So yeah, my role at Southampton is to work with schools and colleges like Henley and provide advice and guidance. I've been at Southampton for over 10 years and work quite closely with our admissions team. And then prior to that, I used to work within admissions at Royal Holloway, University of London. And then before that, an admissions team at the University of Manchester. So 3 very different universities. And hopefully in this short slot, I can give you some of my experiences of dealing with admissions and applications to universities. But more importantly, I thought it'd be more useful because of the different age groups that are likely to be here tonight to talk a little bit more about what you can do to become a competitive applicant. And a big part of your application alongside your grades, and your grades are going to be really, really important. And as we said earlier, choosing the right subjects is incredibly important, particularly if you're looking to go down any kind of science or engineering route. Universities tend to be far more specific in the sorts of subjects that they will and won't accept. There's probably a bit more flexibility with things like humanities and social sciences. So if you are in year 10, year 11, and you're yet to make that decision, it's really important that you kind of look at perhaps some of the courses that you think you might be looking at or wanting to go on and study, because it'll give you a sense of the sorts of combinations that will prove useful. And then a big part of your application, as I say, will be this personal statement. It's a chance for you to talk to the staff at universities about why you want to study a particular course. And it used to be a free text box. It's less than a side of A4, so not a huge amount of work. Particularly when you think of something like your EPQ, we're not asking for a huge volume of work here. And there are 3 key questions now that are being asked. So instead of being this free text piece, it's now been split into these 3 distinct areas. Now, arguably, they're the sorts of things that we would have wanted to know about anyway, but you can see here, we'll want to get a sense of why you want to study the subject at university, what you've done outside of the classroom, and perhaps how your studies have helped as well. And I think it's fair to say that every university will treat the application in slightly different ways, not only from university to university, but from department to department as well. I imagine our admissions team for English are probably going to pour over your punctuation, grammar, and spelling more than, say, our maths department do. So we will all use the personal statement in different ways. And if you see headlines like this that says that the average time reading a personal statement is 2 minutes, don't get despondent. As someone that used to read personal statements, I'm not the quickest reader, but you do get into a flow of reading these things. This is often people's full-time jobs to be reading and processing these applications. So ultimately, the personal statement doesn't need to be clever or witty or funny. It just needs to be well evidenced and easy to read, because you never really know whose desk it's going to land on. It's not often an academic member of staff. It's often, an admissions team at Southampton. It's a big centralized function. And to give you, again, some context to that figure, when the January deadline closed last year, we processed about 40,000 UCAS applications. So that is an awful lot of personal statements to read. But also your grades, again, that you'll get given don't tell us everything about your potential to succeed at university. So many universities like Southampton, absolutely big supporters of the EPQ. Very proud to say that we were the first university in the country to start making those kind of alternate offers. And pretty much all of our courses, bar medicine, will reduce it by 1 grade if you achieve any AA and EPQ. So we've always been very supportive of students that do the EPQ. And our own data suggests absolutely that, as Ella said, that you tend to do better once you're on the degree as well. But many universities, including Southampton, have also what's called a contextual admissions policy, and it's an extra set of data that, again, that helps us look at your potential. So it might look at your GCSE performance and the school that you went to, maybe an area that you live in. People don't tend to progress on to higher education. That gets flagged. So it's not a magic formula, but what it is an extra set of considerations that will help us, again, look at your potential to succeed. And again, it often can reduce the offer that you get by 1 grade as well. So what will admissions tutors be looking for when you send in your application and your personal statement? Well, certainly the first scan of the form will look at things like your GCSE results. So if you're in year 11 at the minute, I would say particularly your maths and English are worth working extra hard on, because those are the things that we tend to look most closely at. Ideally 5s and above in your maths and English. And as I said, things like your choice of A levels is really, really important. So as I said a moment ago, sciences and engineering can be quite specific. So to give you some context, most of our engineering courses want students to do maths and physics. However, there is some flexibility with the 3rd A level. Now, typically, students that do maths and physics tend to be really good at, say, biology, chemistry, or further maths, which is fine. But if you've got a particular flair for a modern language or history, that's absolutely fine as a 3rd A level. There's no, again, kind of winning combination there. As long as you've got those maths and physics, we're pretty flexible on what that A level is. And our entry requirements are quite high for engineering. They're typically kind of A star AA. So far better that you got an A in English than pushed yourself to further maths or chemistry and get a B or a C or something like that. So those will be like the first filter. Do you meet those kind of main requirements? And then your teachers and tutors will get to write an academic reference as well. And they'll talk about, give us some context about Henley. They'll talk about perhaps any extenuating circumstances that might have impacted you. And there's a chance for them to tell us about why you're so great at the subjects that you do and why perhaps that course is a good fit for you. And really the two, your personal statement and their reference can cover quite a lot of information. It highlights your motivation and commitment to the subject. So why is the personal statement so important? Well, there are at least 2 universities out there I'm aware of that say, hey, we don't even read the personal statement. Now, I don't think that's particularly helpful advice to put out there, because, of course, the vast majority will look at the personal statement. But certainly to counter that argument, and I would say the personal statement is more than just about a tool to get you an offer on a university course. As young students, once you enter into year 12, you're at a super critical point now in your immediate futures, deciding whether you want to stay on and do another 3, 4, 5 years of academic study. Maybe you're also looking at apprenticeships. I think the personal statement can be a really useful reflective tool for you to look back on what you've done and about whether you're ready to commit to future study. The good news for the vast majority of students is that you're unlikely to get called for interview. Interviewing is a really time-intensive thing to do, and generally it tends to be your health sciences, so nursing, midwifery, physio, medicine, that tend to call you for interview. For all other courses, it's likely to come down to, again, your predicted grades and your personal statement. And if you do get called for an interview, we often use the personal statement as a tool to kind of get you talking. Oh, it looks like you've done an EPQ. Can you tell us a bit more about, the topic that you chose? And as I said, the reality is that for universities like Southampton, many students apply with very similar, if not identical, academic portfolios. You've got your GCSEs, you've got your A-levels. The personal statement is your one chance to really sell yourself and stand out from the competition. You should view it as an electronic interview. And a way that a colleague in admissions put it to me recently, she said, look, we are looking for reasons to reject you. And what she meant was, look, we want students, we want to make offers. But if you've kind of not understood that as a nursing student, you're going to be out on placement quite quickly, meeting patients, that's a bit of a red flag. If you've not learned as an engineering student that you're probably going to be applying your maths and physics to real world problem solving, building things, designing things, testing things, refining them, that's a bit of a red flag. So I thought that was quite an interesting way of looking at this process as well. So generally, and there is a bit of a caveat here, if you are looking to apply to Oxford and Cambridge, they're probably not so much interested in the stuff in dark blue, but I would argue that the vast majority of universities, including Southampton, we want to know the reasons why you've chosen the course. We want to know if you've had some great work experience, but we'll also want to know what motivates and enthuses you. We want to know about the transferable skills that you've got and the subject skills as well. So being ready academically and socially is really, really important. And when I talk about socially, I'll come on to this in a second. This doesn't mean that you've got to be captain of a football team or doing the Duke of Edinburgh. But for many students, moving away from the familiarity of your school or college to somewhere new, that can be a challenge. And I think it's about knowing that, look, wherever you decide to go, you've got some of the skills needed to ingratiate yourself into university life. So what are the sort of things that you might include in your personal statement? Well, for some students, they've known exactly what they've wanted to do since they were three or 4 years old, and that's absolutely fine. For some students, it might be, the last 6 months of studying when they really decide what they want to do. That's absolutely fine. But talking about your personal trigger, why it interests you, why it motivates you, I think is a really important part of this process. When you hear about these kind of Russell Group and what we call research intensive universities, it's easy to think, oh, you mean tackling cancer and COVID and sciences. And we do that at places like Southampton. But being research led means that, look, these aren't history teachers or psychology teachers that you're learning from. These are scholarly academics. They get time off from teaching you to attend a conference the other side of the world, to write a research paper, to take 12 months off and write a book. So looking at these kind of big current problems facing us all in society. So as students, the things that you like to argue with your friends and family about, the things that annoy you, upset you, frustrate you, the things that you wish could be different and better and fairer, to me, that is what going to particularly places like Southampton and Russell Group universities is about. We want you to be part of making society a better place. So think about how your subject relates to society and current affairs. Ultimately, when you write this personal statement, we are not expecting you to be a fully formed, civil engineer or a well-rounded philosopher. We know that there are going to be areas that are very, very new to you, concepts and ideas that you've not yet come across, and that's absolutely fine. But what I think we want to see in the personal statement is a sense that you're aware of what some of the skills are likely to be. So psychology is a really good example, a very popular course. Lots of universities do psychology. But you're going to have to work with data. You're going to have to get used to standing up in front of people and presenting that data to them. You're going to have really good written skills. By the time you get to your final year, you could be carrying out your own research and, speaking to people face to face and asking them really difficult, challenging questions and processing that in the moment. So we don't expect you to have all those skills now, but it's being aware of what some of those skills might be and perhaps highlighting ways in which you think you might have some of those skills. So you're going to want to include, what you've done to develop that. So whether that is something like the EPQ or wider reading, but this isn't just about a list of things. This isn't about listing off books or podcasts. Fine to mention a particular career aspiration if you have one. And again, for some students, they have lots of extracurricular things that they want to include. Some students might have 5 or 6 amazing things that they want to tell us. The reality is the structure means you've probably got space to talk about 2 or 3 maximum. So there'll be a skill again in critically reflecting back on what you've done and picking out the really, really useful examples and unpicking the skills, what you got from doing these things. If you're taking a gap year, that's fine. And we know that you might not have it all planned out, but I think getting a sense of why you think a gap year is going to be useful to you. And if you're sat here, if you're listening today as a year 12 student, you think, well, okay, well, I'll think about this later on. I think one of the best things you can do is start looking at what you've done in the recent past and asking yourself these questions. What you learned from that activity, did it relate to the subject that you're applying to? Were there certain skills that will be useful to you, either from that academic or that social point of view? And I think if you can't apply that criteria to some of these sorts of examples like work experience and having a part-time job, think really carefully about whether you're going to include that. So this is where I think friends, family, mums and dads can help you, right? As you begin to get closer to that application time at the end of year 12, unpicking some of the skills that you've done, reflecting on those experiences will be a big part of this. But what I think I want to make clear more than anything tonight, and if you remember nothing else, kind of remember this, is that we are well aware as universities that not every student has the opportunities to go traveling. Not everyone's got the connections to get a really good work experience placement. For some students, they might be living in care. They might be holding down a part-time job to support the family. They might be looking after a brother or sister who's really not very well. And that's absolutely fine. All of those experiences have shaped you into the young people that you are, the values that you hold and the interests that you have. And that's what makes our student bodies so diverse and interesting and reflective of broader society. So look, if you don't have a lot of free time, if there are pressures on you, and actually in the very limited time that you've got, you like to read books or you like to watch documentaries, that's fine, but tell us why they bring you joy, why you spend your time doing them. So perhaps naff and cheesy way of remembering this. So look, if you're going to mention an activity, try and draw from it the benefit. And if it relates to the course, that might be a useful template of, do you include this in the very limited space that you've got? And then finally, I think a lot of students worry about work experience. They can spend a lot of time contacting employers and trying to get work experience. Again, I think for a lot of students, work experience can be very observational. You will watch someone do a job for a week or two. If you're really unlucky, they'll get you to do that big pile of filing that no one else wants to do. So I would argue there are plenty of other things that you could do that are far more productive in helping you become a competitive applicant. So as we keep saying, an EPQ is really good, but perhaps you like to show your love of civil engineering and architecture by taking pictures of bridges and structures. Perhaps you're learning a particular coding skill or an art skill with a YouTube tutorial. Perhaps you've had a really good TEDx speaker come along. These are all ways in which you can start to go beyond just the set kind of curriculum. Having an interest in the subject is great and good, but this has got to be more than just looking at the BBC's website a couple of times a week for relevant news stories. As you progress into year 12 or even in year 11, start to look at these quality news outlets now, not just kind of passively reading them on your phone, but stopping and asking yourselves deep questions about, well, look, who wrote this? What's their background? Is this paid content? Has this been written by AI? Why have they used that image with that article? What are they trying to suggest? And ultimately, I think one of the best things that you can do is start to immerse yourself in what is going on. What are the key topics of debate within your chosen areas? Starting to think critically about what you're reading. And you might not agree with the other side of an argument, but understanding why someone might have that point of view, I think is really, really important. Thinking critically is going to be a really useful skill. And I promise you, if you start to do some of this further reading, you'll put yourself in a really strong position to get offers back from places like Southampton. So there's no shortcut to this. You know, this isn't going to come from watching TikTok videos. This is going to be, as I said, about quality news outlets, academic journals and materials that will take it to a slightly higher, often more nuanced level. Follow academics on social media. They'll often put links, videos, articles, opinions for things that, you know, will just give you another take and another approach to some of these concepts. University websites, we're not very good at it in the UK. We like to hoard our knowledge, but many American and some Australasian universities are very generous in throwing up undergraduate style resources, reading lists, downloadable materials. Perhaps there's an institute aligned to the subject that you're thinking of studying. Sign up to them for their weekly or monthly newsletters. And finally, FutureLearn do these great free online courses. Anyone can do these. These aren't just for students, often 6 to 8 weeks long. If it looks like you've missed a really good one, they repeat them 2 or 3 times a year. Maybe you just do weeks 4 or 5, but they're another kind of undergraduate style resource that's very easy to access that, again, will start to build your knowledge. So look, I've tried to talk very briefly about some of the things that you can do, but do remember that this is a personal statement after all. This is about you and your voice and being persuasive. AI and using AI to write your personal statement is the least personal way of presenting yourself, so don't be tempted to do that. But also remember that there's no such thing as the perfect statement or the perfect student. There isn't a tick list of things that we expect you to do. That's not how we're going to make the world a better place. And quite frankly, academics wouldn't want to teach a room full of students that are all the same. So get away from this idea that you're trying to write perfection. If you're sat next to your best friend and you think, wow, they're doing all these extra things and I'm not, that's okay. That's not what we're looking for. But what we want you to do is show an interest in the subject that you're applying for, give us some of that personal insight and use it as an opportunity to sell yourself. And I'll stick around at the end if anyone's got any more questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Paul. That was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. But as I said before, we are hoping to welcome Paul back in the new year to deliver the extended session on this for our current students. But I hope that was interesting for all of you, no matter where you are in your kind of academic journey, whether you're in year 10, 11, whether you're studying with us at the moment, or you're just a parent or just interested in knowing what's out there. I think that was really, really interesting to give us that insight into what a competitive institution or these kind of research universities are looking for from an application. So thank you so much, Paul, for sharing your knowledge with us. We are nearly coming to the end of the evening now, but Tristan is just going to briefly talk to you a little bit about what we offer as part of the curriculum here and the sort of expectations we have of our students. So Tristan, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Ellie. I appreciate that. Hi, my name is Tristan. I'm one of the vice principals. I look after curriculum and quality here at the college, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm only going to take a few moments. I just wanted to give you a sense of what our character is as a college, what we believe in, and our overarching approach. So I'm just going to just take you through essentially what we believe in as our mission as an institution, and that is to provide a truly transformative experience for our young people here at the college. We are an inclusive institution. Every student here is to be helped to flourish and to achieve that individual potential. And we pride ourselves on our pastoral care and the caring, supportive nature of the environment that we provide for young people. There are essentially 4 pillars to the way in which we work, and we believe that our job is to balance each of these aspects off against each other in our work with young people. And those are high academic standards in the first instance. That's hugely, hugely important. We are, of course, delivering qualifications at the heart of what we do. But alongside that, we feel it's very important to provide a choice and range in terms of our offer as an institution. It's a key part of who we are, is that breadth of provision that the college has to provide, including niche subjects you wouldn't necessarily be able to access in other places. But we balance that against questions of personal growth, how we help our students develop the kinds of skills that you need in order to manage the demands of adult life. And we have a framework that we utilize to guide our understanding of what those core skills are. And we also look to develop our students' professional futures, helping them with their career planning, thinking longer term, how this choice impacts this choice and what the consequences of that might be, how this might develop that, etc. And helping provide some wraparound, very specialist careers advice and support with our amazing careers team here in the college, supported by our personal and professional development tutors. And then alongside that, as the fourth pillar, is the opportunities for enrichment, for doing things that are perhaps linked to the curriculum but go beyond it, in that sense of super curricular enrichment and development, or things that might be contrasting, that might be different to what you're doing, but they give you that chance to experience another dimension. We do a variety of things in terms of our central offer as a college, so you can do things like fire rockets into the sky as part of our UK rock competition development, or we do things like sewing for sustainability, which is an incredibly popular enrichment, alongside things like student leadership or the debating societies, the extended project, all sorts of opportunities that we offer centrally. And then there are various things within your subjects in which there are opportunities to engage in extension and development work, as well as engaging with partners and other institutions like seminars at university, things like that. So we just wanted to give you a sense of what our character is as a college. We are a truly inclusive college, and we want to provide you with a transformative experience that really takes you forward into adult life and equips you with the skills, experience, and qualifications that you need. So I'm going to stop there in terms of talking about who we are, but hopefully that gives you something of the flavour of the Henley College as an institution. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tristan. So we've come to the end of, I think you had one more little bit here. Ta-da!
I did.
Which actually fits quite nicely in with a question that's been asked here by Amelie about I heard that university is the next step post A-level. There's a lot less ideas / support for students who think they might run their own company, be self-employed, or aspire to be entrepreneurial. So nicely, that last slide brings us into that. We do offer kind of more widely. Aspire is primarily the kind of academic stuff, but as a college in the PPD groups, there are yearly competitions, things like the Dragon's Den experience, meeting with kind of other business people. I know the marketing team put this on our Instagram and our Facebook and our website quite regularly. We have lots of people coming in and speaking to our students, particularly I know June, who's the curriculum leader for business, among other subjects. She often is inviting these types of people in to speak to our students so they can get a real sense of everything they can be doing after college. So hopefully that answers your question. But just to finish us off, we have time just to quickly review our question and answers. And I think most of them have been answered, bar one, which is asking Esme what her top tip would be. So if she quickly has time just to share before she dashes off, that would be really helpful. But if not, we can always ask her after time. Has she gone? She dashed off. Me, are you here?
I think she may have had to be at her
She
ball.
might have dashed off to her formal. But I will ask her and I will get back to you. I'm just about to pop my email up on the screen, so people can take that down if they want to. I think somebody raised their hand, but I think you need to pop any questions in the Q&A because we can't turn mics on and things like that. So somebody's asked about, will the recording of this meeting be sent to us, please? Thank you, very polite. Yes, it will. We're hoping to get it edited and perhaps uploaded to YouTube, our YouTube page, but that might take a little while. But yes, because I know that people want to go back over, particularly Paul's advice of the personal statement stuff and the supercurricular stuff. So on that note, because we have run over a bit, so thank you everyone for hanging around, but if you haven't already, please do consider applying to study with us next year. I know quite a lot of you already have. I reached out to a few of you that have already applied, but similarly, if you think of something after this event that you want to ask, or you want that prospectus, the little Aspire prospectus, or you want any more advice on supercurriculars, subject choices, really anything that we've discussed tonight, then please do drop me a line. I'm just aspire@henleycoll.ac.uk, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. But I just wanted to say thank you again for everyone for joining us. Thank you, Simon, Tristan, Evie, Paul, Esme, she's gone to her formal. But thank you everyone for joining us this evening, and I hope you found it useful, and we look forward to welcoming you, a lot of you, next year, hopefully. So thank you very much.